up in this.
Is it going live now? Is
Hold on a minute.
what would you want?
It's too much light.
Are we going live, Nathan? Right, we're going live. Okay, I'm just going to get on my phone and just call it up on here. Apparently I'm live. I don't know where it is. Right, going live. Sorry, I can't see any of my. Right, hello everyone. John Wedge here. I've got silly headphones on. But can you? I'll just get my technical boy. Just 2 seconds. Bear with me, Carine. I just want to get it
Go ahead.
so I can
know
I can see the comments coming up. I've got to just try and. Oh no! I've got my green screen at the back, so it comes up. I've got like the icon thing at the back, but I never like doing.
Okay.
I never like doing anything from home because it's just too many distractions in my house. There's too many people. You know, it's just like a railway station. Constant people coming in and out. So I just right. Anyway, I'll let Nathan. Right. So hello everyone. I've John Wedge here. It's an absolute privilege to have back with me Carine Hutsebaut, all the way from Belgium, and what we're going to be talking to today really is how we move forward from. Sorry, something's right. Keep us back here. How we move forward in respect to what's happening, because I know my end, Carine, it's gone absolutely crazy. It's gone absolutely crazy. I really sort of I don't know what's happened. It's like there's been an explosion. The moment I started looking into the satanic ritual abuse, things have just gone mad on every single level.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. That's not a surprise, is it? It has been suppressed for hundreds of years, and now all of a sudden, thanks to people like you and others having their podcasts, and thanks to the witnesses and the victims coming forward, but also professionals who were screaming out for years, like I did for 30 years, and there's just no reaction. On the contrary, you're threatened. They try to take you down. They tell stories about you. They lie about you. They try to kill you. I've been through all this. Don't worry. I've seen it all, and you see it all too now. But still, we're still here, John. We're still here, and so are the victims, more and more present.
Yeah, and they're coming in. Once one came, two came, then four came. It's like a multiple of two each time. And the one thing that I've noticed is the stories are so consistent. You know, unlike any other form of abuse, the SRA, the satanic ritual abuse, the consistency is unbelievable. You know, when people do fully get like their memories back, because there are lots of issues regarding suppressed memories and emotions. But once they get it back, it's truly horrific. And I don't know if you're aware of it. Many years ago, all right, lovely. I've got all my things come up now. My little Nathan's done it for me. Many years ago, there was a thing called the RAINS list, RAINS. This was produced in the UK, and it was by a lady called Joan Coleman. Now, Joan Coleman was a psychiatrist, psychologist. I don't really know the full extent of what she was, but she was a doctor of the mind, and she was helping trauma victims. And she found out that most of the ones that were coming to her were victims of satanic ritual abuse. So she decided to document what they were saying. It's the first time really anyone's done it properly and put it out in a public forum. And names started appearing and locations. And they're in quite a wealthy sort of southern county of the UK, county called Hampshire and part of Surrey. But the names that started cropping up, they would only go on this list if they were corroborated by 2 independent sources. And these names virtually are a who's who of our political establishment, our religious institutions, our police, and also
Politicians.
politicians, the entertainment industry as well.
The system that we have in front of us and we pay for.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where these names come from.
And the thing with it, Carine, is that these are people that have been named by more than go away dog by more than two sources on the whole. Can you still hear me? Okay. Yeah, by more than two sources, and they're highlighting satanic ritual abuse in which young children are raped, they're garroted, their intestines are removed, they are eaten. There's all sorts of defiling. There are women used as breeders. There is the eating of human excrement and stuff like that. And these are people that are adjudicating on us in everyday life, whether it be on the television, whether it be in the political environment. And what really, really upset me more than anything else was there was a name on there. And again, this guy's never stood trial, but I implore anyone to look on there. He's a detective chief inspector, so he's a middle-ranked, quite a senior middle-ranked police detective in charge of the unit, the vice unit, that I was working on when I was silenced. And I was shocked.
Are you amazed by that? You started by telling the satanic ritual abuse. So there's the word ritual in it. And when it is ritual, it is something that is done over and over again, just like in church, the Catholic Church. These are all rituals, and we were used to certain rituals. Now, in the satanic abuse, it's exactly the same. This is their Bible. I mean, they stick to their Bible, so it's normal that all these victims are telling the same stories. The youngest I ever had were two little boys of 3 years of age, twins, and it was in the elite area around Paris. Now tell me how these little boys of 3 years old were able to just fantasize about killing the baby, drinking the blood, and all the people around. So yeah. I've been working a bit all over the world in 35 years, and what I've seen is that whether it is the Netherlands, Belgium, France, United Kingdom, United States, all these testimonies are the same. These people can't talk to each other. We did not have internet 35 years ago to start with. Then another question we have to ask ourselves is how could they have been exchanging testimonies when they weren't even speaking the same language? And it were boys, girls, adult women, adult men who started to explain what they have been through and what has been done to them. So no, this is not an invention. Now, mind you, that when they started to talk about 40 years ago, those people, there was the Rockefeller Foundation that started the false memory syndrome organization to just suppress it again. Yeah. And it worked for a while, but now that's not possible anymore with now the internet. Then I want to remind people also to the fact that all these people who have been abused in church, be it the Mormons or the Catholic Church, whatever, they were not believed neither. It took them 40, 50 years before people all saw it. It is so sad that it has to take 60 years before we are able to get rid of all these obstacles and to listen to these people. But now we are there.
And there's something you said to me when we last spoke, and you asked me what I do with the information. I said, collate it and give it to authorities. You said, don't bother because they're not going to do anything.
No.
And I did a podcast. I was approached because I spent most of my career on the street in the police, you know. And I did a podcast with a woman, and she got in touch with me because she remembered me when I was a vice cop in central London, and she was involved in street work, in the prostitution. She was a crack cocaine addict, and she was from the streets. She'd been on the streets since her early teens. She's now the same age as me, and she said, I want to help. So she came on and did a live podcast, with me, and she walked round and she said, pointed to a venue where the street girls would go, the prostitutes would meet up and would smoke crack cocaine. She said, your inspector was up there smoking crack cocaine with us, John, and he was asking for us to provide him with runaway children. So these are vulnerable, frightened kids that are probably running away from abuse. No one knows where they are. No one cares who they are. He was paying, back in the 90s, £500 per child. Per child. So she said, I never did it because it wasn't my thing, but I know girls that did. And they were paying this detective. No, he wasn't a detective, so he was an inspector. So he was, again, middle ranked. And no doubt was linked to the other officer that was on the range list. £500 to provide them with a child. And how disgusting is that?
Yeah, but now with the internet it's even more easy. The strange thing is they will get you out of the internet, but they don't do anything to stop these thousands of gruesome, horrible websites with undescribable horror they do to children and murders. They don't do anything. Well, let's be honest. We have to get rid of the system.
Yeah. That's right. It's failed.
It failed. They proved that they are in it. Because if you know this and you have the authority to do something against it and you don't, then you are complicit. You're one of them. I don't want them. I really never wanted them. And you are talking about this woman who is now your age and he was working in the street, and you were working on the street too. Well, This is the best university there is, isn't it? It's not in a Rockefeller University that they will teach you how to work with victims and offenders, do they?
No.
So we have to take not the system back. Well, yes, the system, but it will be our system. Okay, that's why I founded this academy, and the first thing I don't want is preformed people. I don't want them. Not people who are being brainwashed in universities and are not open to have skilled and very high level training. So no degree. Now, this week, President Trump signed an executive order that he will take skilled people above people with degrees. And that's where we have to go.
Yeah, it's called common sense.
Common sense and the heart at the right place.
Yeah.
Being human.
And if you see what's happened to the British police, they've decimated it to such a skeleton level, and now they will only take people that are graduates with degrees from university, and it's probably going to be the worst thing that they will do.
Let them have their system. Let them have their system, John. We are going to start our own system, a parallel system to the existing one, and that starts with skilled people. Not people with degrees, skilled people. Yeah.
Now, there's a few criteria that I want to talk to you about, something that we discussed earlier. One of the first things on this agenda is the awakening. Now, there is a massive awakening, and especially more so during this COVID-19 lockdown, which I can't believe anyone believes the official narrative. I really can't. It is the biggest con, the biggest lie, the biggest deception that has ever been rolled out, and it's
called. It's only the start. They are already talking about the second one.
Yeah. I mean, if you are ill, Carine, not that it's you know, but if you're ill, the things that you need sunlight, you need exercise, and you need a hug from your loved ones. They've deprived us of all that. And oxygen, exactly, oxygen. And these masks, someone did a test, and 21% oxygen, and they put the mask on, and it went to a critical level. Because it wasn't and you try talking to someone with this on, you don't know what they're on about. You know.
Especially not on the phone.
And something that two SRA survivors said to me, they said, when we get near to someone, we know that they're no good. We feel it. we can really pick up on it. But when you're at this distance, you don't know. You need to get near to someone to get that sense, that hypervigilance, whatever it is that they have. And they have got something. They can spot a wrong person, you know. But when they get near to them from a distance, but when they get near to them,
not a physical distance. From a mentally distance.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I've put on Facebook today that there has been a study. It is, I think, it's a document of John Rappaport, you know, where they discovered that during the lockdown, the rate of baby deaths declined incredibly because the parents were not able to go for the vaccines.
Right, oh, right, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting report, and it was spectacular.
Yeah.
Because in 3-4 months there was no way to get to the doctor to get their vaccines, and the death rate has declined substantially. And that's the least I can say about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been some good things in as much as air pollution.
Absolutely.
Air pollution's gone. People are walking. Families are going out on bike rides. You know, but
no chemtrails.
No chemtrails. Exactly. There's, you know, environment-wise, fantastic. But what it's done to the psyche of individuals, I think, is irreparable. I don't think people will ever go back. I can't see the British pubs opening. I can't see restaurants going back to what they were. You know, our society is going to change.
Well, if we let them, yes, but I have a neighbor, he has a restaurant, he was just 1 month open, and he just say, fuck you all, no masks in my restaurant, and I don't respect those distances. This is, and his restaurant is full, others are empty.
But I went to a protest, an anti-lockdown protest, and a woman was saying, you know, an old lady saying, we're now getting prosecuted for what we used to do, meet up and get together. How is this illegal in the UK? I said, I can't believe it. Do you know,
that's their program.
Since this has occurred, I know 3 people that have committed suicide because they are survivors of abuse. I don't know anyone that's died of this virus. You know?
No, not at all, and especially not these poor people, the elderly in homes. This is so devastating. These are gas chambers. So their program of the Nazis is just going on, and we cannot allow to happen that, John.
I work in a school now with autistic kids, and the kids kicked a ball over a fence into an old people's home. And every time the children play football, the teachers are screaming at them, get away from each other, get away. They're not allowed to get near to each other. If one picks a ball up, they can't give it to the other kid. They've got to wash the ball. It's ridiculous. It's mad. The kids are frightened to go near adults. I went to the old people's home to ask for the ball, and there was a family waiting there, and into like the glass porch area at the front, they wheeled their old relative from the inside, and they had to talk to her through the glass. They weren't allowed to go in.
But why do we accept all this?
Well, exactly. Why are we allowing it? Why don't we just push the door out and say, do you know what? She's coming with us, you know? And it's just all so wrong.
I put my mother out. That was before the COVID.
Yeah.
But when I go to the shop now, you know, a big shop for supplies, not for food, you have to ring the bell, and then somebody comes to get you, and then they say you have to wash your hands, and then I say my hands are clean. And then, but you know, these are government's instructions, and then you have to say what you need, and then they go with you to the. I said, but you know what? Go live in China. It's all there. Go live in China, and I leave the shop.
You know, and they'll sit there and they will scratch their heads and they'll wonder, how did Hitler get to power? How did Ceausescu get to power? You know, how did Stalin?
Many Hitlers.
Oh,
we have many Hitlers now.
You know,
corrupted.
Especially with the UK, it was seen as a seat of freedom and of democracy throughout the world. And I had a Polish lady say to me, what are you English doing? We've come from communism. We've seen communism. Communism gets into people's hearts and they can't get rid of it because they're used to being told what to do in every aspect of their life. You're different. She said, we come to England not because you have good weather, not because your food's good or it's cheap. It's expensive, the weather's bad, the food's bad, everything else, but you have freedom. And she said, you're giving your freedoms away. But throughout this, I've used every minute I can, Carine, to wake people up to the abuse, to the cover-ups, and I've been so driven. I'm starting at 5 in the morning. I'm finishing at 1 in the morning. I'm using every single opportunity, and it's exploded. And
Perfect.
And the victims and survivors, the satanic abuse, I cannot believe. I was told, I was told by someone, you've got to stop saying it's everywhere, because it isn't. Well, what I found out, it is everywhere. It's the glue that holds all of this society together.
Yes.
Satanic abuse is what links a gangster to a politician, that links a heroin addict to a senior police officer, and it links
because
all of these.
Have to supply them. Yeah, that's true.
And
but when I said this 30 years ago, they said I was crazy. Because of my job, I saw all these perverts everywhere. It's not true. I can meet a pervert without knowing he is one. It's not that I am paranoid at all.
No.
But if it is the truth, it's the truth, and that's why the awakening is so important at first, because you need to, this society has to bury this and carry this before we can do something. And so the awakening is going on at a full speed. They will not be able to stop this anymore. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But then you have the recognition. These people want recognition. They want that their hurt, their suffering, be recognized. And by whom? Normally it is the courts. Why? Because the courts has centuries ago taken over from the people. Because otherwise people were just hitting each other with a stick.
Yeah.
And the things were arranged. But then they installed courts. And the courts represent the people, should represent the people. But there it started to live an own life, you see. The courts are not there for the people anymore,
No.
just like parliaments are not there for the people anymore.
No.
In the Constitution of the United States, it is very clear that you do not allow lawyers in your governments. Well, it are all lawyers in the UK, in Belgium, in France, everywhere. It are all lawyers. They are not human. I'm sorry.
And the other thing is, policing was never meant to be political steered. It was meant to be totally detached from politics. Now it's the opposite, and it's now connected to private industry. So they're doing the biddings. They won't send a policeman to a child who's been raped, but they will send a policeman to an eviction where a bank is throwing someone on the street. And I am getting people email me constantly. We've got children.
Hundreds per day.
Children being raped and the police doing nothing, not even turning up. We've got people fighting for their children, to keep their children, and the courts are arresting them and putting them away.
All the time.
And we're seeing
it's the same in Sweden. It's the same. I have from Argentina, Bolivia. I have them from all over the world.
Yep.
So don't think that this is only the UK. It is not true.
I know.
It is a worldwide problem. It's the same here. I have hundreds of people writing me, phoning me, chatting. I don't know where to start anymore and where to end. So we need skilled people to take care of this and to help these people get out of this system. I give certain advice to people that I cannot tell here because it's too dangerous for the project I am leading. But there are solutions. There are solutions, and you have to take them. But I can't talk about it here.
I've got a lot of ex-soldiers helping me out with things now. Mm-hmm. They've been fantastic.
Perfect.
And they have. And
happy for you.
we've got this list, this government, this RAINS list compiled, like I mentioned. We've got senior officers on there, police officers on there. We've got judges on there. We got a university lecturer on there who is still teaching. He's still teaching people about psychology, and he's a Satanist. Now addresses are on there, and a lot of the abuse. They love a tunnel. They love an underground structure, and we've identified. Yeah, they do. They love it. We've identified a couple of tunnels, and one guy has gone. A little team went and they found one of them, and it had a hatch and it was locked. They said soon as they moved it, private security were on them. There was a light. This one in England. Another one we identified in Scotland. Up on the west coast of Scotland, exactly the same thing. Soon as they touched this hatch, bang, there was cars there turning up. So they who are these people protecting them? Do they know what's underground? Are they aware of what they're standing guard over? Maybe they are, maybe they're not.
Well, for the moment, John, it is different than when you were accepted as a policeman. Now they recruit them on their stupidity.
Yeah.
And they're cowards. They're cowards kind. Depending people, people that believe the system, that are not able to think for themselves.
They can't, I know.
They recruit them because it's in schools. They follow you as from the moment you're born. They follow you in your whole trajectory. And so they can just pick out the psychopaths to go to do things, and they can pick out the stupid ones to go into the police, in the army, and just obey orders. It's not difficult once you know it. I'll give you a profile in a minute about the situation we are in now from A to Z.
Please.
So people can understand what we are in. It's not difficult if you know it, but you have to connect the dots. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, they recruited all these people based on their stupidity and how they follow orders. And it's for them not difficult. They know it from your schools, from nursery. They know everything right from the start. So they just have to pick it out, like in a toy store, a shop. This one we can use, and there, and they put their people in place. And so you can't be amazed now that after 30 years, because it's especially the last 30 years, that's why we have known it differently. It's since the 90s that you started to say, what is this?
Yeah.
But then they were ready to do all this, and they implicated all these people in courtrooms, and then the smart ones they put in their universities, the Rockefeller universities, where they are trained on not thinking for themselves, but taking over programs and agendas. And now we are confronted with it. So I'm a bit amazed that the awakening is so sudden.
Oh,
That's thanks to people like you and Edwards.
Sean Atwood.
Yeah, Sean Atwood and all these others. It's thanks to them, because otherwise the message would not come over to the mass.
And the other thing is, when we had like these anti-lockdown protests, the police were turning up, not a face mask among them, 50 strong, and they were going round and arresting peaceful protesters. Our protest that we had planned, and we had military guys turning up, we had biker gangs turning up, we amalgamated survivor groups. It was going to be a cast of thousands, and the police rang me up and said, if you go ahead with it, you're in trouble, John. So we had to stop doing it, right?
Well, then just stop. Don't just stop, because otherwise they're gonna take you out. Don't allow that.
Yeah.
Be there, go there each time, and then if you feel that they are threatening you, just go back. But come back, go back. There will be a point that they will not be able to stop it anymore.
No.
But because what they want now is confrontation, fights, lootings, and look, that's John's fault.
Yeah.
Don't allow it.
No. I say this to people: no violence. No violence. We'll do this without violence.
Do not go for having violence. But they hire groups and they pay them to just start the violence, and then they film. Then their media, who is also in their pocket, they start filming the lootings, and the violence. But these people, I don't know if you've seen this little film from the Netherlands.
Oh yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, they've got me on it. Yeah.
Very peaceful group, and all of a sudden you see there these lunatics coming in.
Oh no,
and
not
these
that.
lunatics, I'm sorry to tell you, but these are all abused children, full of rage and hate.
Hatred and rage, yeah.
Yeah, and they use these ones to just
denigrate.
no, no, not only denigrate, but they send them in for violence and all that,
Yep.
and then they film it. But in the Netherlands, they were able to film them coming out of police cars.
Oh, right, okay. Right, I never saw that, no.
Yeah, and going back in big police vans, and then going back in, and the police is putting their cars elsewhere, and there they go out again and go into the masses to just hit people.
Carine, I say something, right? And I see it's quite a bit. A lot, well, all of the SRA survivors are saying the one thing they remember, the ones that are within the last couple of decades, was that the rituals would be filmed and the children would be killed and raped and killed.
Yeah, blackmailed.
And also these were snuff movies.
Yeah.
And now the British government and I think the only one is the Dutch, the Netherlands authorities. They're the only ones who admit that snuff movies exist. The rest of the world, they say they don't exist. In the UK, they say snuff movies are a myth. They're a myth. And these people say to me, they filmed them, John. They filmed them. They filmed. One of them, she remembers, a former a prime minister of the UK cutting a boy's throat. She told me. She said, she said, I saw him do it. Now, he was in. It was posthumously. He was investigated for numerous deaths of children, and the investigating officer was a chief constable, a very brave man, and said that this man is 120%. He is a paedophile and he's involved in Satanism. Pedocriminal, and they hounded this man and did everything they could to destroy him. And I say, and this you'll get in massive trouble, and it will never happen. But if they was to play a child porn or a snuff film on the internet, on the telly, I'm telling you what, we would have 99.9% of the population on our side.
But you can find them on the darknet.
You know.
We're talking about this now, John, but it is already in my first book I wrote in '94. There was no. I've been talking about the satanic ritual abuse groups and how the parents are involved. Many parents are involved and just send money and for being abused. It is in my first book. Yeah, my internet connection is unstable. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It comes and goes. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's the Belgian police who went to the houses of the parents who rented their children. They took the children and brought them to Les Ballets Roses, the pink ballet.
Right.
And boys, girls, etc. for being abused. Children of 2-3 years of age. It was the police. And this is already in my first book, and I have proof of it, but I had to hide it elsewhere. I have nowhere to go with it for the moment. I think it will come. But it is already in it there. And then, most of the time, they abuse these children in churches.
Yes.
Because these churches are on ley lines. People should look it up. Ley lines are energetic strings on the earth, millions of them. And on cross ley lines, it is a very powerful energy, positive energy. And they blocked it with their fucking churches.
Yep. And they polluted it.
And we cannot get to these energies anymore. And then they pervert these energies by holding this satanic abuse and snuff movies in these churches. And there are always, all those victims talk about dogs, Doberman.
Yeah.
The Doberman dogs.
Yeah.
Around the church, and the police around the church to protect the inside of the church and what is going on.
But the other reason for it is, religion is the enemy of God. And it is.
Yes.
Not Jesus Christ, because he protects his children, but religion. And, and in order, we're up against darkness and we're fighting a spiritual battle, a spiritual darkness. And what religion has done, the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, and all the other religions, they've hijacked, the real word of God, and they monopolised it. And they had these institutions, these children's homes, that were set up and they were run by religious institutions. They raped the children. They quoted the Bible to these children. So these children will never go and listen to the word of God. They won't do it when they're adults because it triggers them. So many of them.
Yeah, and that's sad because this was not the word of God,
No.
nor was it the word of Jesus. And as soon as I saw that people were not allowed to wear crosses anymore because it's offensive, no crosses in schoolrooms, classes, no crosses in courtrooms, then I started to think what's going on. All of a sudden, our symbols have been taken away, but hijacked by these others. And I'm going to talk about this hijacking in the profile I made from the society we're living in. Okay, so
please.
I think this is the first time I wrote something down because normally I don't. It's all here. So the first thing is the awakening, and that is thanks to you, as I said, to witnesses who are in the system and who can no longer stand it, whistleblowers, victims who find the courage to come forward.
Yes.
Those that don't, that it doesn't mean they are cowards. On the contrary, they try to protect themselves, and I respect that. But also now people being aware of what is going on, and that's very courageous too, because it's not easy. Most of the people lose their friends now if they go along with the conspiracies.
Yeah.
These are conspiracies. It are. Because these are conspiracies from the others to control us. And that's all they...
Can you hear me okay?
It's not invented. It is true. It are true conspiracies.
Well, there was one woman, she was telling me, she was talking, she's going to be doing an interview with me on Thursday, and she was talking about her abuse to a friend, and her friend turned around and said, "Can you stop telling me I'm eating my dinner?" And she was first time opening up about the horrors she's gone through. And this is what happens. People just don't want to hear it. They want to live. And I will say to people, the days of you living comfortably are over. They're gone. Don't think that with this this COVID thing was their master plan to really kickstart this off. And it has. It has. Life is never going to be the same again.
Do you remember this volcano some years ago? It's not even long ago. I think 5 years ago. You know this volcano with this difficult name there, Chukuwuku, I don't know what. Who erupted? A volcano.
A volcano.
All of a sudden,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All of a sudden, all over the world, there was no air traffic anymore.
Yeah, that was over Iceland.
Yeah. All of a sudden, there was no air traffic in the world. Then you start thinking, what's this? There are volcanoes erupting every day all over the world.
And
this was a test.
It was a test.
It was a test on their agenda to see how people would react, because they observe. They have nothing else to do. They have all the money of the world, so they observe.
And wasn't it funny at the same time, Iceland had an economic crash as well.
Yeah.
And then what Iceland did, and we don't hear anything about Iceland anymore.
It's going like this.
Yes, it's booming because
they took their country back.
They got rid of their bankers. They got rid of usury, which
and they were in jail.
Yeah, and they jailed them. But we heard all about.
They did not pay the bills. They did not pay the bills and the bailouts. They didn't.
No,
but that's you don't hear of them anymore because they are doing very freaking well.
And they dissolved a lot of mortgages as well. They gave people their homes. We hear nothing of this. And again, I'm with you. I'm thinking, why are you shutting this down? But for country to shut down like it has, like the UK, 63 million people, bang, locked up. And then we saw it in France, we saw it in Belgium, we saw it in America, Argentina, India, Kenya, Uganda. We saw it in communist nations, in Muslim republics, everywhere, all working together. They don't.
What does this say, John? What does this say?
Well, it shows it's one governance.
That the new world order is implicated. That's what it says. Because when you have to negotiate with other countries about bananas, it can take you 1 year.
Yeah.
Still. But this in 2 days, 187 countries were in lockdown in 2 days. So it means we are really on the verge of collapse to communism.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a socialist agenda, without a doubt. And if you look at, when I go on about child abuse, what the after effects of child abuse, we look at the mental health problems, how much that costs our country, the legal bills because of dysfunctionality, because of a life of criminality, and then dysfunctionality in the home, the single parent, the violence in the home, the drug addiction, the deaths through drug addiction, the money through drug rehabilitation, alcoholism, suicides. Bang, bang, bang. All of it you can attribute. The prison population, 80% of them coming from an abused background of one sort or the other. The majority of opiate addiction coming from it. Yet they don't care for that. They wanted the British people, the old people that have worked hard all their life, the backbone of this country, not to retire at 55 or 60 like they should have done, to work till they were into their late 70s.
Yeah, we are now at 67 years in Belgium.
Oh, it's even worse. They are just doing everything. They are
But they want to get rid of our generation above 60. They want to get rid of you because there is no money to pay the pensions anymore.
No. Yeah, they will pay.
So we are going to be the first to be mandatory vaccinated, and I tell you, I shoot them if they come at my door. I shoot them. I kill them.
Carine,
I'm not a killer. I'm peaceful.
I can't believe how many victims of satanic abuse are naming politicians to me. And they're so scared because we had one guy who went and he spoke out, and they've now put him in prison for 18 years because he spoke out as a victim.
That's why I think what you said earlier is so important. These veterans and these people wanting to do something and are not interested in getting skilled to heal these people.
No.
They have to be there to protect those witnesses and be around the house and not allowing anybody in. That's what their job is. Do it.
Yeah.
Okay? We have to protect these victims. I have numerous victims who are still in these networks since the age of 4 and who want to speak out, but they dare not because they know they are going to be killed. And I don't know where to put them. So we have to make a network. Don't say, I want to do something, I don't know what. Think of what you can do. Open your eyes and look, there is so much you can do. Help people with podcasts because we are doing all this for free. This is not possible anymore. You have costs too to organize your podcast and your internet and all this. So even if it is only £1 a month, but if there are many, we can survive. You see, it's not that much. £1, $1, €1. It's not the end of the month, is it?
Yeah.
But if more people do it, and then you say, okay, well, now they give to WWF.
Yeah.
I don't know if you made the link. I've put it in my profile.
You did, yeah. You did, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a leading children's charity that went out their way to silence me. A children's charity that are getting huge amount of funding off the British people, and they are seen as like the bastion of saving kids. They're not saving anyone. They're perpetuating it.
It's like UNICEF. It's like the WHO, World Health Organization. Is on top of this. People can do a lot of research themselves, and just judge people on what they are doing. And don't listen to other people. I know somebody's attacking you tremendously. I had a person.
Oh, I'm always getting attacked, yeah.
Well, then you have to look at that person. If I'm attacked on Facebook, which is rare, it doesn't happen often, and I go on their profile, there's nothing to find.
No.
When you go on my profile, you find everything. I have nothing to hide.
And the thing is with me, I'll go on the street, and I say to people, you've got a problem, I'm on the street, you'll find me, go away, dog. And they stay indoors, they attack, and someone said to me, a survivor said, John, you will be attacked by paedophiles and their protectors. And that's all I say now. And I say...
I survived this for 35 years and you survived it. There is something protecting us. I don't know what it is. I do not fear.
No.
I do not fear.
No.
No.
It's like I say, I'm not a big tough guy. I've done a lot of time on the streets of London, you know, and I've been involved
You're
in...
tougher than I am.
But I've been involved in, you know, rolling around the streets, and I've been injured and everything else. I get that, and I brought up 4 kids of my own, so mentally I'm quite a robust individual. But I'm not a big guy that goes around punching people and knocking them out and all that. I'm not into that. But when it comes to standing up against paedophiles, I will stand in front of the biggest of them. I
Not
will.
only pedophiles. You will stand up for everybody to
Yeah.
be in trouble.
I
That's
will.
who
I
you are.
will not run away. I will not run
No.
away from it. And I'm saying to people,
Neither.
you know, just come forward and speak out. And when we do something, share it. Share it. Make people
Yeah.
listen. Put it out,
Yeah.
because it's like I'm saying. You know, we mentioned earlier, life as we know it is never going to go back to normal. We
No,
either.
but it can become better.
Yep.
If you are attacked and you know who it is, share it on the internet with his name, picture, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
That person attacked me. You know, people have just to accept that some people just don't lie, okay? And that
Yeah.
you're not going to put this on the internet if it is not true. You have other things to do you?
That's right. That's right. I mean,
We
I
have to expose them. We have to show them, as I said in a previous interview with you and with others, we have to make sure they know we are watching them.
yeah.
We have to turn the whole pervert system. They are watching us day and night now. Well, we are watching you too.
Yeah.
And if we know and we have proof that you abused a child, we're going to put your name and your picture on the internet worldwide. We are watching you. This has to stop.
It has to stop. I'm with you. It has to stop. And the other thing, what I do, people say, I don't want to talk over the phone. I said, you know what, grow up. If they want to listen...
I don't care anymore.
I don't care.
I just put what I want,
yeah.
wherever I want.
And I will say what I want on the phone. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about them.
No,
I said,
no,
stop panicking about the intelligence services listening in. Do you know what? Get over it. They listen anyway. It's gone above and beyond that. You know,
Yeah.
but the one thing the perverts and the Satanists won't do, they won't speak out and speak about what they do because they're ashamed of it. You know,
They are not ashamed of it. They give it another name. They are above us.
Right.
But that won't last. Forget it. Forget it. When you destroy life, you can never be above life.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's
But I'm
right.
going to talk about this a little later.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we will have the awakening, which is going on, which is perfect, and they are not going to be able to stop this anymore. People who are awakened will never go asleep again.
No.
That's for sure. Okay? They maybe lose friends, but, you know, with this kind of friends, who needs an enemy? Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
Maybe you needed these friends for the time being, but now you're on a higher level. You're vibrating on a higher frequency, and in fact, they are not no use anymore.
Well, this is very.
Sorry, but
This is very true, Carine, because people have come on and done podcasts and have said to me, I have never spoken about this before. And I'm thinking, well, exactly what you said. How come? If you've got close friends, why have you never confided in them? Because they can't, because they get judged. You know, their friends will judge.
Yeah.
And when people speak out, like I said, same with what I went through as a whistleblower. When I stood up and spoke out, I looked round, there was no one there. No one stood by me. And it's the same as the victim and survivors. They stand on their own.
it's the same. You're on your own, but it doesn't matter. You know you're doing the right thing. So I went on doing it. Whatever.
I mean,
went on doing it.
and what they've done is they've slowly eroded the decency in our society. They've done it over decades. Single parenting is shocking.
It's organized.
It's organised. It's very dangerous. I was a single parent, and I worried every day until my youngest boy was 18 years old. I worried because I could have got a knock on the door and took my kid at any time. And I had 4 of them for nearly 2 decades. I was panicking, and then when it was over, what a sigh of relief. And I say to people, you know, don't give them the opportunity. Don't give the social services the opportunity. Keep your family strong. You know,
But also with your husband and with your wife,
Yeah,
even if
yeah.
they're bruised, we can heal them. I'll explain that a little later. As soon as these people are healed, they can make decent families again. Look what they've done in the United States with the black people. The women, they gave them, and this, I'm sorry to tell you, but these are the Democrats, you know, the leftists. They call it progressive.
Yeah.
These women got money when they leave their husband, and then they get the money to rent houses.
Yeah, they did it in England.
That's the way they separate women from men.
Yeah, yeah,
Why? Because men are necessary in a family
yeah,
to keep the order. And so one part of a pair is gone.
yeah, yeah.
And women are very good at many things, but they can't do it all. They can't be a father and a mother at the same
But
time.
also
And the system knows it.
a good man can teach a young girl how to respect a man, and it's the same as a good mother will teach a boy how to respect a woman. But when that's
And
not
respect
there,
themselves.
yeah, you know, that respect has gone, and pornography has just totally polluted everything. You know, the children are very immature, you know, now compared to when I was growing up. They're very, very immature in their minds. However, they're exposed to the most explicit and vile pornography at a click of a finger. You know, it's there.
Yeah, but they instruct it now in schools from the age of 4. How to masturbate the other in the class.
Yeah,
It's already there, the early sexualization of children. It's to destroy them. And they
Yeah.
know it. Well, if we agree with this, and let's say I'm not progressive, which I won't be, it has to be right, not progressive or old-fashioned, it just has to be right. Why then don't they give these children of 4 years of age a Visa card, a credit card? Why don't they give a child of 6 a driver's license?
yeah,
It's the same.
yeah,
It's the same. Give them that. My father once was in an elevator, and he saw a little sign, not allowed under the age of 16 without an adult. And he said to me, can you imagine, but they can have sex at 14.
yeah, yeah. Of course they can,
But
and
you
they,
can't take an elevator alone.
and they can watch pornography as early as they can read.
Yeah.
You know, or use a tablet. You know, it is. I mean, if I said this before, if I had my way, the age of consent would be 21. You know,
Like it was in the 80s, and I think even beginning of the 90s, it was 21. Then you were an adult. And it's not just like that. It's because the brain is developing till you're 21.
yeah,
So they grab the children right before. And like a Jesuit told me, give me a child under the age of 9, and it will always be mine. When you rape a child, it's yours because you break them, and that's why we have so little courageous people. I'm wondering the last years, where are men?
where are men gone? Yeah, I know.
Where are they?
The strange thing is when they opened the borders in the mid 2000s, we started getting the influx from Eastern Europe, and you still saw family values. You know, you got the Lithuanians came over, and I ended up being able to.
Polish people.
Yeah, I ended up being able to speak Lithuanian because I did a lot with their community. And you saw the men were real men. They're like when I was growing up, and the women maintained the home.
Protecting their families.
Yeah, the women maintained the home. But you know, it's quite strange because when they first come over, the intelligence reports are coming in from Interpol, from Europol, saying Lithuanians are the worst gangsters in Europe.
Yeah, sure.
You know, blah de blah. They all the women are prostitutes, the men are violent. They all got guns. They're all KGB, but they weren't. They came and worked hard. And then they said it with the Romanians, the last ones to come to the UK. And I can remember being in a briefing. Yeah, I can remember being in a police briefing, and they're saying Romanians, one of their biggest incomes on the black market is they steal children. They steal blonde children. My neighbours are Romanian gypsies. They came over on a lorry. They do nothing but work hard. They're not stealing children. They're lovely people. And it was this xenophobia and all that they were bringing. And I said this to a Polish girl because she was going on about the English all being fat. And I said, but we weren't fat. We had one fat child in our school. And I said, but you now will go back to Poland. I bet you're now seeing fat children. She said, yes, we are. Yep. I said, because it's a disease that's come from the West, from America. It will sweep all the way through, you know, all the way through Europe.
Poisoning. Food. That's it. But we will not continue to allow it. So I think then, after so many bad news coming in for some years now, little, but some years now, it's time for uplifting actions, I think. So I think let's take our world back. The time is there. We are enough people now. You know, the critical 10% has been surmounted. The critical 10% that understands, wow, this is going wrong. And that's critical because then a whole system can collapse. It is never a group that changes something. It is one person and a bunch of people will follow. So if you have 10% who are aware of what is going on and who say stop, if each of them have 100 people on their back, you're at 100%, you see? So I think, okay, it's time now to get our world back. It's our world, not theirs. They are 1%. And so many people feel seriously frustrated because they want to do something, but they don't know what.
Yeah.
You already gave me the example of the veterans and other people protecting whistleblowers and witnesses. Very, very good.
Yeah.
Then, manifesting has no sense anymore. They don't care. They know how it works, and they know how to take out the high testosterones, and then the rest will just go in a bar, drink, and go home.
Yeah.
You know, manifesting has no sense. Voting neither, because whoever you vote for is not that person who has the place.
No, I've not bothered to vote myself.
Yeah, so there must be something we can do to take control. Yes, there is. Get as many people as possible trained to take over the mental health department. That's because that's where it starts. Get as many people trained to take the offenders in charge to stop them from being violent to others and raping children and abusing children. Get as many people as possible trained in the police departments, the justice departments, and the political world.
Yeah.
And to start working under our conditions with all departments.
Yeah.
Now, the website I started, I'm still working at it, but it will be okay. The English version is finished. Is www.timetotalkabout.org. Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe
okay.
you can show it later.
Yes,
okay?
I will do. Yeah. I'll get Rita to put a link on, you know.
Yeah, okay. People will get trained. It is a program of 10 models. You know, I wrote them. You have model 1, model 2, and you have to follow, they have to follow in order. After each model, they get a certificate and they can go over to the next one. After the 10th model, the 10th one is about profiling. They have a small exam and they have a diploma. And then they can start working professionally. If you are humanly, I prefer the word humanly, but okay, professionally, with victims and offenders. I will not allow people only choosing to work with victims.
No, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah, and not alone with offenders. I can assure you, I'm over 30 years in this business, to call it business, this field. When you start working with offenders alone, within 6 months, you start to believe them.
Well,
they're the best manipulators and liars.
Yeah. It's quite strange you say that because there's a lot of organisations in the UK now that go online and they police the online. So when you've got the groomers that are making out their children, you know, to try and link up with other children, and someone was telling me about one of the what they call decoys. She's actually now fallen in love with one of these paedophile groomers. And I said, well, they would do because they're manipulators. She said, well, what worries me, this woman has got 2 young children. I said, well, there you go. You know, she's opened up and they always find a way in. And you're right, and it's really strange because they got this thing called Criminal Records Bureau checks. So they have people in the UK have to have these checks before they take on a job working with the public. And like we know, a lot of
They are not all known.
paedophiles, on the whole, a man of violence tends to go through a college of violence, a graduation of violence. So there'll always be an audit trail, and the same as dishonesty tends to be an audit trail. Sexual offending goes under the radar for a lot.
It goes under the radar, and these people lie and manipulate because it is their way to survive their how do you call it? Being damaged.
Right, yeah.
Nothing is clear anymore. They don't know who to trust anymore. They don't know what to do. They don't know who they are. So they are very confused. That's what I was looking for. And to survive, they lie their way through life. But 90% of the child sex offenders can be, I don't like the word in this context, but I'll use it, heal.
Right.
You can restore them, okay, because they're not sick. It's a way of life. They try now with their agendas and their perversions, make us believe that it is a sexual orientation. I swear to you, it is not. It is a choice.
Yeah.
Because if it is a sexual orientation, you would do it in public.
Well, this is what I said about the Satanists. If this is your belief, then do it in public. Well, they won't do it in public. Yeah, that's right. Let us come in and film a ritual where you're cutting a child open. We'll film it, but they won't do it.
That they don't do because they know they are wrong.
They know they're wrong.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the training is one thing for people who want into the police or in the police and want to know what this is all about. They will find everything on it. I will be very strict. The first thing people have to do when they subscribe is writing a motivation letter. And I personally
I like that.
write that letter.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't dream a pedosexual or a pedocriminal working with victims. I will not allow it. So I have to be as sure as possible that there are no people infiltrating, having a diploma, and working officially with victims. I will not allow this. And already in the motivation letter, you can find very important information. I had people who entered their motivation letters and stating that they would deprogram the pedosexuals. They would mind control them and I don't know, this kind of words. Well, then you do the same as the others. We will not reprogram them. They will reprogram themselves when they get restored and healed.
Yeah.
And they go back to who they essentially were when they were a pure child.
Yeah.
It's not up to us to reprogram them. Okay? So I'm very strict in accepting people to start the training. Very.
Because I get a lot of people come to me say, I want to help. And I want to help. I'm a therapist. I want to help. And someone said to me, you're going to get infiltrated if you haven't been already. And yes, we've had quite a lot of bizarre goings on. I mean, I do my podcasts, I do them live. And I do them with very damaged people. And it's there's what we call belt braces and string. I've got no safety net. But what I say...
I don't need one.
That's what I said, I don't need one. I'm not doing my testimony, they're doing theirs. If they're going to come and lie, then they're going to show that they're a liar, their story won't hold water, but on the whole, everyone's been phenomenally good, they've been fantastic, but there will be those that will see an opening, a bit like a school or working with vulnerable, that will see an opening. And this idea of a motivational letter, I've already put this to my coordinator and she thinks it's a fantastic idea.
It has to be this way. I will not accept just anybody.
Yeah.
Now, the courses are not for free because I have to pay the ITer who is managing the website.
Yeah.
I have to write my next 10 modules. It's going to be very specialized. Women abusing children, for instance, profiling, murders, disappearances. I have to find the time to write them and to translate them to different languages. I can't do this anymore alone. So I have to pay for translator, and it has to be right because every word is important in these issues.
Is this an online course, Carine?
It is an online course indeed, And people, as soon as they finish the 10 modules and they pass the exam, they can start their own practices and heal as many people as they can with the knowledge they need, human. No judging, not even if it's an awful offender, you don't judge, but you help them taking the consequences of what they did. And this means, but all this is in the courses, this means that they are going to pay the damages done to the victims they've made.
Yeah.
They have to pay the therapy of the victims, and they have to also repay society. Because when a child is hurt, a whole village is hurt, the whole society
Of course.
is hurt.
And generations are hurt as well.
And that we can stop this. It's going to be a lot of work with a lot of people, but we can do that. Then for me, they have, each month they have to show me their bank accounts that I can see that they paid for the restoration of the victim they made. And I make sure that the therapist, that sometimes I don't know, they don't charge extremely high amounts of money per hour, you know. And I follow this up. They are not getting out of my hands. Now for society, they damage society too. They have to do community work. And I follow this up, you know. Then, for instance, they can go and with elderly people, not with children,
Yeah.
and read books in the evening for the elderly people in the homes or lonely people. Read the newspaper for them. It are little things, but they are obliged to do it 1 hour a week for me. Because I ask it and I will take care that they do it. When they start doing this, they feel necessary. They feel they are doing something good.
Yeah.
They feel people start to respect them. And you cannot believe how good most of all people are and how easy they forgive wrongdoers. It's incredible.
Well,
But the wrongdoer has to do the effort to restore everything he damaged.
I said that to someone the other day. They were attacking me, and I did a podcast. I said, "Do you know what? You want to get off your ass and do something for others. Your soul will feel good. It'll be food for your soul.
Absolutely.
You'll love yourself instead of attacking everyone and causing division and hatred online and anxiousness. Go and help someone. You'll feel good."
You feel good and you feel proud of yourself and you have something to lose. And when you have something to lose, these people have nothing to lose, most of them. They have no self.
Yeah.
They are not proud of anything. They don't even know who they are. When you restore them to the point that they know who they are, what their capacities are, what their creative possibilities are, and the social, they have something to lose and they don't want to lose this feeling anymore. So I have 0 relapse in 35 years, while
Wow.
without skilled training or therapy, the relapse is 97% in an average of 4 days after leaving prison.
Well, that I mean, I said this to someone, and it was to do with drug rehab, and things like this. And I said, if you wanted an extension built on your home, your property, and I recommended, I was talking about the prison system, and I said I recommended to you a builder, and I said, look, this government recommends this guy. He's going to charge, and I told them, it was the same price that the prisons charged. It's an exorbitant amount of money. Yeah. And I said, and by the way, that once you've done this, 70% of the buildings this guy puts up falls down. Would you still employ him? And they were, well, of course not. Well, we're expected to believe the same bullshit when it comes to the prison system and the rehab system, because 75% of them, it doesn't work.
And look at the mental health.
Well, there isn't any mental, help, is there?
People are taking medications for years, are seeing a psychiatrist for years, and what's the result? They grow bigger and bigger because of the medication. They feel bad about themselves, and that's also what I say to people who already started the training now. Never allow a victim to not pay.
Yeah, that's quite important.
This is what the social system has done to us. Everything's for free. So it has no value.
Well, it's worthless, yeah.
When you work with victims, you charge them. Yes, but they have no money to pay. Well, that's possible. Even if it is £5 an hour and not more, give them their value back. Okay? You're not going to work for free.
Yeah.
Because you have an important job to do. You're helping these people restore themselves, and you start with the self-esteem. If everything is for free, what is it worth then?
Yeah.
I mean, you could charge people, I don't know what the price is in the UK, maybe £200, I don't know, for an hour, for 45 minutes of therapy. I don't know. In the Netherlands, it's very expensive. I work at very low prices because I know victims have not most of the time they don't have the means to pay, but then they pay €10 an hour.
Yeah. Well, that's
But you will
okay.
pay.
You'll pay.
Okay, okay, and this gives these people, wow, I have to do something to get something, because now it's all free and everybody's very happy to be victim and just being depending on the system, and they can't get off it because then they have no money. Okay, so I help victims through all the way to be proud of themselves, to find a decent job they like, and the same with the offenders, with that difference that the offenders it's with a contract of non-confidentiality.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which means that
explain that.
I can and will, on a simple demand, share their files and discuss their files with the therapists who are working with the victims, and their progress and their relapse, and I'll talk to them. I'll share it with the probation office. I'll give you an example of one. There was a trial coming on for one of the offenders, and he had a new job, and his boss didn't know about this. And I was telling him for months, you have to tell him. Of course, you're not very proud to tell your boss, I'm going to have a trial, and it will be very much in the media, because then your boss just fires you. And I said, look, because I'm going out of the way of everything. I'm not limited to my hour working with them here. Sometimes it's 3 hours and they pay only one, because I want them to be okay and safe and not harm people or children anymore. So I told him, you give me the telephone number of your boss. I'm going to make an appointment and I'm going to talk to him before the trial, because you're going to lose your job. Then you're in this downward
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Again. And then, it was Friday, and he said, well, that's the number. And the trial was Monday. I said, I can't go anymore to your boss now. It's too far and he will be gone. But then they think that it's that easy, that you just know what to say. I don't know this man. I've never seen him. I don't know how he will react. And so I called this boss and I said, I have something very difficult to talk about, but it's important that I know, because and he said, oh, what is it about? I said, it's about one of your employers, employees, I think, right? He said, oh, has he done something wrong? I said, yes, but not in your company. And so I explained softly what was coming, and he was in shock. But at the same time, I said, he's in therapy since 1 year and a half, and it's going very well. But the courts takes a long time before all this passes. And I can assure you, I am following up. I can come with his file to you, show what we have been doing the last year and a half. And as soon as there's a problem, you can call me, or if you see something not right, you can call me. That's the social control. It is in the training. How do you install social control around somebody who is a sexual predator? And this went so good. Then he had to tell his co-workers, because everybody would see it on television.
Yeah.
And I went to talk to them twice, where most of them were women. They were shocked. Their husband didn't want them to work there anymore if he stayed there. And I said, okay, I can understand that, but then you have to ask somebody else to do the job, and then you don't know who that is, and maybe it's the same, and I don't know who that is neither. And now they are working together. It is fantastic. Then he went to the probation officer, and that man asked him, "How did they react at your job?" And he said, "Well, we warned him on beforehand." He said, "What?" He said, "Yes. My therapist and I went to see my boss and the people to work with." And he said, "Oh no," he said, "we always this, what's the word?
Disclosure.
No, we always advise and disadvise you talking about this." And then I say, "What? They want you to come in therapy to be honest and to be straight and to be right.
Honesty is a word.
Yeah.
And the first thing you do is lie.
And say, "Are you crazy?
You've got to lie, yeah.
You have to lie."
Have to lie.
And say it was not me or something. I don't know. No. When you're in therapy with me, we are all about truth.
Truth, yeah.
And it's not easy, but it works perfectly.
Yeah.
But all this is in the training. So you go on with your people protecting victims, and then I go on with training people who can take care of the victim to restore the victim, but also the offenders. And if we do this on a worldwide level, scale, in the end, we'll take our world back. I can assure you.
Well, it's quite strange because one of the first things the police teach you to do is to lie, and because it's to lie that you get your evidence book and you write down, and they'll say, "No, you're not writing that. This is what you'll write," and they'll tell you what to write in your evidence. And it's just
"No, I won't do it."
And it's just a lie and a lie and a lie, and the thing is, the more you're in the system, and people just saying to me, they're saying the police lie, the social services lie. I said, of course they lie, because they're taught to lie. It doesn't benefit you to tell the truth. Yeah. And what's happening now? A young girl who's joined the police has come to see me, and she's in tears, and she's been sexually assaulted at work, and it went on and on and on, and she'd become quite upset and almost suicidal. And so she reported this guy, and she went to the department that deals with corruption, and they interviewed her colleagues who saw this man overtly touching her tits and her ass and things like that. And they said, "Look, did you see it?" And then, but what they said to them is, bear in mind, if you saw it happening and you've done nothing, you're in trouble. So they've all said, "Well, I didn't see anything then." Because for them to tell the truth means they're going to lose their jobs. So it just
they lose jobs. Yeah, I don't care.
But the thing is, but the man who's done it gets away with it, and the ones who get punished are not the ones who've done it. And this is how twisted this whole thing is, and we see this with whistleblowers.
This is not going to happen anymore, John, if we take over this system with the right police, the right health people, the right caretakers, the right families. It is a huge work, but we have no other choice. They will not change.
I'll tell you something.
They're having a good life.
I used to teach interview skills to detectives many years ago. And at the end of the course, it was a tough course, because it was a child abuse course as well. And for some, it's quite hard. And at the end of the course, I used to take them to the pub for a drink, finish early and go to the pub. Mm. And there was one sergeant I worked with was jealous of me because I always got at the end, the feedback at the end of the course was always 100% positive. They never used to get that, maybe 20% enjoyed the course. And
because you're true.
Yeah, so what happened was, this woman, she got her friend who was on my course to report every time I said something that was maybe homophobic, something that was maybe inappropriate, something that was maybe, I don't know, whatever. But also, the main thing was, drinking on duty, you lose your job. So she reported on me, and I got interviewed by the corruption police, came down, high up bosses, they interviewed me. Mm. And they said to me, "You took your students once during the course to the pub and drank on duty." And I said, no, you're wrong. And they went, "Well, we've got the evidence." They went to get the evidence. I said, "No, hear me out. I didn't take them once, I took them twice. I took them on a Wednesday and a Friday. But I turned around to the boss and said, I don't care what you do to me. I'm admitting what I've done. But if you have never drunk on duty, then you carry on and you prosecute me.
You throw the first stone.
Yeah, but if you have drunk on duty, you can F off, you can piss off, because I'm not having it. And so you tell me you haven't drunk on duty. And one guy, I know he went to the pub, so they backed away. So this is what they do. They use this conspiracy of silence all the time. But you're right, you have to say, do you know what? You do what you've got to do. Do what you've got to do.
The right thing.
Yeah,
right thing.
because
we are now on a level that they will be more and more afraid to have you lose your job. It will stop because they feel we will be after them.
Yeah.
Now we have been suppressed, but that won't last.
No.
That's now. I'm going to first now explain the profiling of that dangerous situation and to understand how all this chaos came to light and is manifesting. We need to go to the source of the problem. So we're going to profile in a very dangerous situation going on for decades. So the first thing was the awakening, and thanks to the numerous podcast interviews and so forth, and thank also the courageous witnesses and whistleblowers. Now then we go over to the time to be heard. The victims have to be heard. They have to be listened to. They have to get recognition for the pain, the confusion, this destruction done to as well individual victims as the whole of society. With the help of people recognizing the horror done to people, and with the help of podcast interviews and testimonies. This battle is not over, but most brave people with podcasts don't let themselves be intimidated.
No.
So the third one is the action, and here we go. We need to take over the complete corrupt system. How? The right information, and that's what you are providing to understand what is going on, why it is going on, how we came to this point now, what is urgent, and what the next step will be. And this is the important task of the Internet ethical news. Individual training. The need for high-skilled and human training is very important in the healing of co-humans. And I don't call them victims. They have been victims, but most of them aren't victims anymore. So I call them co-humans. Be victims of all kinds of abuses in their childhood or offenders to stop them from destroying vulnerable human beings. We need protection teams. As you already have obtained this wonderful initiative, John, we need people to physically protect people who want to come out with what has been done to them and by whom. But also those who no longer want to keep quiet by fear of losing their jobs, retaliation, threats. Recruiting warriors. Many people want to do something, but they don't know what and where to start, helping them out in their choice to protect others. Supporting the podcast people in every way, spreading the information, financially supporting them, reacting on interviews so they can go on doing this very important work. Letting them know we are watching them. This can be done by buying your logo, as you have a very beautiful one, and stickers, but also by wearing specific t-shirts with the right slogans on them, sticking flyers and folders with the right messages everywhere. We are watching you. Now, profiling what is going on. How did we get where we are now? And how is it possible we didn't notice all these years? What will be the outcome? Their modus operandi, we will start with that. The hijacking of people's creation and projects. 1. They watch and scrutinize what people are doing. 2. They pick out the ideas and creations they can use, exploit, pervert for their own agenda. 3. They infiltrate your organization, your creation, and your invention. They offer huge amounts of money you can't refuse to so-called expand your ideas and creations for humankind. That's where the lie comes in. They know you will take it because you really want to help society and humankind. 6. Then they start hijacking your whole project by implanting others of them in your project. You have anything to say anymore in your own project because they now hold the reins. 8, then they start asking taxpayers' money from the government where they have their pervert and corrupt accomplices for their project. 9, that's how they double, triple the money they gave you at the start. This is how they enrich themselves on your work and the good in people. 10. They transform your good ideas and projects to their own pervert agenda you are not aware of, but they keep on saying it's for the good of the people. 11. They come in via your back door and call it progressive, freedom for the people, while all the way it is the introduction of their perversions. 12. Then in the end, they throw you out and they have full control over your project. Examples: Greenpeace, Google, Internet, Facebook, the Justice Departments, the police departments, healthcare, NGOs who started as decent things.
Of course, yeah.
Tesla, the vaccine industry, the pharmacy, the education departments, and so on. That's how they do it. Their signature. So this, until now, is the modus operandi. Their signature. The signature is always the same, be it in serial killer cases or child abuse or taking over your projects. It's always the same: hate. Their modus operandi can change depending on the situation. Their signature never changes because that has the link to emotions, and the emotion is hate. They hate society, they hate happy people,
Yes.
they despise the weak, they hate humanity. Why? Because they are and have never been part of it, and they almost surely never will. Most of them even don't want to be part of it anymore. Too late. When they were still little and pure, all they wanted was being part of the home, being happy, being protected, being safe, being that wonderful creature of creation. But they themselves have been destroyed by others, by adults, by people that were supposed to protect them and help them growing up to be their perfect little selves. It didn't happen. They were on their own with nobody caring for them. They suffered grief, started to transform that grief into anger, into aggression, into hate for all that is good. That's where the control obsession comes in. Me not happy, nobody happy. End of story.
Yeah.
They will destroy everything that hurts them, just everything. But we can push them back, we can heal some of them. We have to lock up those who are too far gone. We have to separate them from our loving society. That's where we all come in to save our society and our planet.
Yeah.
That's my explanation about where we are now, how we come to this point, and what we can do about it.
Well, that's really interesting because we'll go to the symbol. Now, it's not this symbol here that I've got behind me. The symbol is something you mentioned about the crocodile being, indicative of a paedophile. Now, we've worked very closely with a survivor group. I need to give this guy a huge shout out. Well, the group, Beach Home Survivors. There's a guy called Alan Merritt, Big Bad Alan Merritt. He's actually devised a symbol. I will put it up on my website. It is a crocodile, and it's got the logo, Keep Our Children Safe from Paedophiles. The big circle with a cross through it, the prohibited thing.
So can't you show it?
No, I haven't got one here. I will put it up. I was hoping to get a big banner to show it, but and print one off, but I haven't got. I will get it afterwards. We have got a badge. I'll see if Nathan will try and find it for me. Nathan, will you go up in the room and see if there's a badge with a crocodile on it? The crocodile badge. There is one about. Alan gave me a few. There might be some on the side out there. So we got that. We want them in French, in Italian, in Portuguese, in Spanish. German. I got contacted by a military guy from Italy. He is fed up of the cover-ups. They've got a real good, strong little army of military guys in Italy. They want to work alongside us. A massive leap forward. There's some Ukrainians have got in touch. They want to do the same. You know, and right here we go. This is the badge. Thank you, Nathan. I don't know if you can see it. Just try and get some.
I'll buy one.
Yeah, no, we'll get you some. I'll get Alan. I don't think you can see the text too well because it's the focus.
But you told me.
Focus is there, and it's got the text: "Keep our children safe from paedophile." So that's. I'll get in touch with the Beach Home guys, and we'll try and get the icon, and then we can share it, and then you can, whoever can get them printed as well. But I will send some over to you.
People can buy it at your site.
They can, yeah, and I'm going to get some T-shirts and mugs printed with this on it. And what we're saying was, you know, even like with my my logo thing, want a little bit of this on there. The other survivor groups, their logo have this. So this is like the logo that goes with the logo, you know.
Okay.
And the other thing is, if we look at successes, I mean, you're talking about you've had no relapses with your work, so results speak for themselves. If we compare that to the government statistics, we're in the UK, 75% of it collapses. It doesn't work. It's
97%.
97%. You know, it just
same. We don't even have figures for the results of people going in psychiatry and in psychiatric help.
And the other thing is,
don't have any results of that.
These professionals in the UK, they will charge. I sent you an email earlier. They would charge £50 for that email to be sent. They will charge 400. The lawyers charge £400 an hour. £400 an hour. I don't know what the therapist charge is. Probably on that same level. Incredibly expensive. No one's worth that money. I don't care. Maybe that's about the only thing that socialism will bring in. That everyone has to work for, you know, a standard wage. But I'm not advocating socialism. It's the wrong thing to do.
But on my site you will also see that people can buy a workbook, but it's not easy if you have to do it on your own. They can buy the workbook to start healing themselves of trauma and go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist skills that will help them go through this workbook.
But the other thing, when you're saying about infiltration, I predict this will happen, and I don't want this to happen. I've had people come to me and say, what you're doing has saved me from suicide. We had a victim of SRA, gave a testimony 3 weeks ago. Within 2 days, she had 3 people say, I was going to commit suicide. You stopped me from committing suicide. She saved 3 lives by giving her testimony. Whatever way you look at it. What they'll do is they'll get someone that would have given a podcast or something that will relapse. They'll say, look, because of John Wedger, he's dangerous. He's causing people to relapse, and boom. The smallest little thing they will pick on, they will magnify it. And what they'll say is, if we manage this properly, with all this won't happen. But what we've done is exactly what you said. We've got a little cadre, a little regiment, as it were, of ex-soldiers that are offering protection. We get people donate, and we help people out. If financial support is the last thing we want to give them, but some people do need it, you know.
Just to get started.
Get started, exactly. We've got
ask them to pay back when it goes better. You can help the other people with that money. It will help their self-esteem.
Well, what they do is that they then come along, and when someone gives a podcast, they offer support. They come along and give support as well. We've got those that are being attacked on a spiritual level. We've got a guy called Brian. We've got a prayer group. Brian does the baptisms. Christine and that. They've got a team of real strong believers in Jesus that pray, because sometimes prayer is all you have left. You know, we've got that. We've got people.
But it's important.
It's very important. We've got people that go out and they're prepared to do surveillance on addresses and the collation of evidence. We've now got a family court lawyer who's offering free and independent advice, but again, very strict conditions. This person has to see the social services report, because people are going to lie. You know, they're going to. Yeah, some, and we have just had an example of it, but some, but so we're trying to cover everything because I know how the police would work and I know how they would criticise. But we are growing. Honestly, my phone goes constantly, I want to help, I want to help, I've had enough. And the clear message is, we've had enough of this, Carine. And exactly what you said the first time I met. You said, don't be an organisation, be a link in a chain. And that's exactly what's happened. We've got all these different groups. When we have to come together, we come together.
They don't know how to handle this. They know how to handle group and manifestations and all that. But they don't know how to handle when you're linked one to another. They don't know how do you get them together to attack them. So they can't infiltrate because who do they have?
But also when you get a group, you end up having a meeting, everyone argues, nothing gets resolved. And then
everybody wants to be the boss.
Yeah, and then you get jealousy, and he got this and I didn't, and you get all that. We dispense away with that. But we are seeing a movement that is building up. We can't rely on the media. We can't rely on the police. The police have clearly covered this up, and not only that, they're incompetent.
They had their chance.
They had their chance.
Years.
Yeah.
Health departments is the same. You had all the chances to help people and you didn't.
You did.
Now I have a little message for those people who are watching this podcast of yours.
Yeah.
Don't commit suicide, please. Your life is important. Your testimony is important, and there's a whole life waiting for you. So please don't put an end to your life. It is very precious. Okay. Thank you.
And we do get that. We do get people.
We will be there to help you.
Yeah. We're there. We will talk. I had it today. Someone ringing up that was in. She's been triggered. She's incredibly suicidal. I put a list out of the satanic dates. Go on there. I want people to understand that they have their own calendar. These people,
Absolutely.
and what I say to
them, there are places on the ley lines.
Yeah.
To block them from positive energy. It's strange, but I don't know exactly how it works. But if they use it, it must be important.
And they hide behind the veil of a white witch, a druid, and all this. It's all a lie, and it's all a lie. It's something you said as well very early on. They may hide under duress that they were caught up in a satanic organisation and they were frightened. Do you know what? That's not good enough. You chose to be there. Yeah, you chose to do this.
But it's also a choice to get out. Even if you're in it now, in a satanic organization, feeling you're not right there, get out.
And let's talk about secret societies, because this is another thing which causes a huge amount of silence, especially within institutions like the ambulance service, the fire brigade, the police and the military, and especially Freemasonry is a very, very big and organised oath within an oath,
Yes, but it's all of us, and as many as possible, billions of people are aware of this. These secret societies won't be secret anymore. They are secret because they are doing things they know are wrong. And if we are watching them, they will not have possibilities to do that more.
And the time that they spend in these institutions, that time could be spent in a benevolent thing, doing what we're doing, doing exactly what we're doing. I could not believe, even my group has started their own church. They're not a religious organisation, they've got their own church, and this is what they've got. It's incredible. So during this lockdown, they've stopped us exercising, which is so important to mental health. It's been the salvation of many people. They've stopped us getting sunlight. We've had the best springtime in the UK ever.
Yeah, we do.
And they've
strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
At the moment the lockdown started, it was sunny.
The sun come out,
for almost 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Yeah. And not only that, we've not had a drought. We get good rain, so we've had tropical weather.
Oh yes.
It's been like the Canary Islands over here. They've stopped us. They've stopped us going to our families and hugging them and putting our arms around them. And they've stopped us exercising our spiritual beliefs from the closure of which has also been the salvation of many people. So they've shut us down on every level, but they haven't shut me down. What they've done is
they haven't shut. they have wakened up a lot of people
Yeah.
because now they had time to watch podcasts like yours,
Yeah,
which they wouldn't have done before because they had no time.
they've
So it is
done the opposite.
backlashing to them, backfiring.
It is. So I see this lockdown as being the best thing I could ever have had. It has really kick-started me. My views have gone through the roof. The popularity's gone through the roof. And again, like with these organisations, there was a girl I worked with from Uganda, and she said when we was kids, she said that our system was based on the British system, the education system, and we always had to be in smart uniform. And she said as children, the Americans would come, and they would come to the school, and they would take a class of children out. They would give us these rag clothes to wear, these dirty clothes to wear, take our uniforms off us, give us these rags, give them tin cans, and we'd have to go to where the cows would drink, and we'd have to dip the cans in the water and make out we were drinking them. They were filming us. She said a human being couldn't drink this water, you die. Even if you're used to it, you'd die, because it was filthy. And they would and they would film them because it was a charity was doing it. And then they would be then on the television saying, the people in Uganda, this is how they live. And she said, John, we wasn't living like that.
Yeah.
We was drinking good water from a well, unadulterated water. We were healthy, we were strong. And this is what they do. And she used to say to me, never give to these charities.
They vaccinate them.
Yeah, then they vaccinate them. And they also give them credits if they use baby milk and not breast milk. And that's another big thing that they do in Africa,
Yeah, they sent a powder from here that was in fact expired.
Yeah.
And then, and with all the anti material from the mother milk.
Yeah, that's right. And
Restoring the families, I would like to ask men and women, even if they are hurt by childhood, do everything you can to stay together and make a happy home family for the next generations.
And enjoy your children. Enjoy your children. And I say to men, take your children out there, climb trees with your children, go down the river and teach your boys to fish.
It's never too late to have a happy childhood. I mean, for the parents, it's never too late. Do nice things, happy things.
That's right. Enjoy it. Enjoy cooking. Enjoy walking. Enjoy the simple things. And the lockdown has brought a lot of families together. They're spending time with each other.
But there was a huge race of child abuse during lockdown.
And also suicides.
Violence.
There's been a lot of suicides since this lockdown's occurred as well.
Yeah, but that are sad consequences. But a lot of people have become aware that something is very wrong. And mind you, they are preparing the next lockdown. Think of what we can do.
It's already started in the UK.
Yeah.
We were coming out of it on Saturday. They've now put in one of the major cities, which has got a predominantly Asian community, Indian, Pakistani community. They put them in another lockdown. So it's already started again.
They want to destroy the little shops because, mind you, the big supermarkets were all open because they are global.
Yeah.
And then there is no virus, I suppose. I don't know. But the little shops had all to close. The little entrepreneurs had to close down, restaurants, everything. But then the big ones were open. Don't people see this?
Well, we saw this, many years ago. We had the Napoleonic Wars, in Europe. Britain was fighting abroad and against Napoleon. It went as far down as Crimea, down in the Ukraine. The soldiers were coming back. They were conscribed into the army. They were conscripts. And then when they come back, the British didn't need them anymore, so they made them redundant. They were so traumatised, they were drinking, and because there was no therapy for them, and there was no homes for them. So they were on the streets. So they brought in legislation, laws, to stop people being homeless. It was illegal to be homeless. So
that's all that is.
And then you saw it with the First World War a few years later, and people were drinking because they were traumatised. So they brought in the licensing laws to make the pubs in England we couldn't open. So they used to be open all the time. They reduced the opening hours so people would still go to work.
Who do they think they are?
Well, the Second World War occurred, so we've now got 3 major conflicts within a very small period of time. The trauma, you know, people that were traumatised, having children that went on to be traumatised. And what happened then, we had a professional army, you know, it was a conscript army, but it was a professional army, but these were strong soldiers and tough guys who knew how to use guns, and that's when they stopped the conscription, because the British soldiers were coming back and saying, you're not taking our children to war anymore, it's not happening. And they were walking into the army bases and actually taking their children back. And they knew there was going to be a coup d'etat in England. So they started building social housing in the 1950s to silence them, and gave us very cheap alcohol, you know, just to keep us quiet. So they've always done it. They've always done it, and we are seeing all these laws coming in now. They're bringing in law after law after law. And one of the things, Carine, that is most frightening is that during this lockdown, they brought in child protection legislation, which means that they are saying they're so desperate for foster carers, they're now going to dispense with a lot of the security checks on people. So now if anyone now can apply to be a foster carer during this lockdown, and will be given it. So even
you see, in Germany, they found out that 30,000 children have been put in pedophile charge.
Yeah.
Last years.
And we see
30,000 children. But 10% of children will become themselves pedosexuals.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you see the pyramid? Yes,
of course it is. Yeah, yeah,
and that's
yeah.
what they want. The more people broken, the more that the best slaves they have. More slaves because people are broken and confused.
And if we look at the financial incentives, you've got social workers are allowed to become foster pet carers, which I think is wrong, because some of them are cherry picking the nice children to take into care so they can double their income, and then they are being funded by the state to take these children into care. They don't want the crazy children, they don't want the ugly children, they want the pretty children, the quiet children, and they're being preyed on. And they were preying on East European families because they were the blonde-haired, blue-eyed children. And you saw that a lot in Norway and Sweden. They were preying on Latvian, Estonian and Lithuanian families and Polish families and taking their kids into care.
Many children that are sold to networks, they prefer deaf children and, you know, children that cannot speak.
Yeah, a lot of special needs children get hit very hard.
Yeah,
you know,
because they can't explain what is happening. They can't hear what is said. They're completely lost, these little children.
But also,
used for abuse.
Also, the other thing, when you take the satanic mindset, disabled children are seen in a Darwinian nature as being weak. And they are just fodder. They are there to be killed, to be used, and to be exploited, you know, because they are seen as weak, not strong enough. Disposable. Yeah.
Not one human, not one, but they hate humanity.
They do hate humanity. They do, and we've got politicians that are still active in the UK that are named publicly as being paedophiles. They're named as being paedophiles. And they're still in the cabinet office.
Well, you have your army, John. Ask each of them to follow one of them day and night.
Well, we start.
Make it clear. I hope they are listening.
We're starting to do that.
Behind them to watch them where they go, just in silence. Note everything. Put tracking cars, follow them.
Well, you can.
I know how pedosexuals function. When they know you're looking and watching them, they can't get erections. Their fantasies are disturbed. So at least they will make less victims.
Well,
they have to know you're watching them and following them.
Well, you can get tracking devices the size of this little lighter, you know, and they will magnetically go under a car. And I said to my team, we'll get some. Well, because we've identified a few people, and come a ritualistic date, let's tag them up and watch them, see where they go.
And they don't have to know if they have one on their car. What are they going to do? lay under their car every time they want to drive it or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, then when they go look under their car, everybody can see must be one. Because who is looking under his car now? Make their life impossible.
That's right.
But don't cross the line.
Don't cross the line. I know.
No,
I know.
but the idea that even if you only have 10 people who are followed with GPS tracker or something else, the other 90%
we'll be paranoid, yeah. And the
Make
men
them paranoid.
and the men that we've got joined us. You know, we've got a lot from the airborne regiments. You know, the paratroopers, tough guys. You know that will fight, and they've offered it. They said we're not frightened. If they want to come, we're ready for them. Tough guys. You know, from special forces units have happily said.
We will do the same as they do. We will do the same as they do. They pick out people on and put them on different places where they belong, but this time for the good.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Not for their pervert agenda.
Well, if a child's at risk, it's everyone's duty to protect that child.
Absolutely.
You know, it's in common law, and it's a moral duty as well. You know, as well as a legal duty that you have to do it.
But we have to stop manifesting in groups because they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. The newspapers, they don't give a fuck that there are no readers anymore. They get their money from Soros.
Yeah.
The politicians, they don't care at all if you vote for them or not. They're getting their money elsewhere. The mainstream media, I call them the mainstream media, they get their money from the evil. So they don't care if you buy their newspaper or not.
No. But this is one of the things. Whereas we've got the BBC, which has been awash, saturated with paedophiles, you know, for a long, long time. Not once. They're putting down statues outside the BBC. There's a statue by a bloke called Gill, and it depicts a little boy having his penis touched. You know, that's still there.
Throw these statues over.
Yeah, that's still there.
Put them down.
You know, but people, when this lockdown occurred, exactly what you said, they all started shopping in the big shops, the big supermarkets. They started watching government-funded news channels again. Yeah. And they took back so much power. We even saw members of the royal family like Prince Andrew, who was proved to be a paedophile, now giving a public speak how he wants to help the homeless. Whereas 2 weeks ago...
you know, this is desperation. So they feel, before they didn't do that, so they are desperate. And all of a sudden they are going to themselves, well, it's all lie, it's that manipulation. It's that manipulation I talked about earlier. When you start working with pedosexuals only, after 6 months you believe them, all these poor guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, this they try to manipulate because that's all they know.
Yeah.
That's all they know. I tell you, Andrew has to face the consequences of what he did. He has to go to see President Trump to be questioned about whatever it is and be brave for one in his life. I understand that it mustn't be easy coming from such a family.
A fucked up family, yeah.
A fucked up family where he has always been protected to just shut his mouth. Yeah. And so I know it will ask a lot of courage and bravery of him. But that's the only thing where he can gain respect from world population. If he faces the consequences of what he did, if he helps restore people he hurt and damaged, and he goes to prison.
Yeah.
Because now it's not better. It's a worse prison than we have. He's not allowed to talk to the people he wants to talk. He is not allowed to go where he wants to go. Is this life?
But the other thing, just prior to this COVID rubbish, this COVID lie, we were looking at a potential collapse in the establishment. We was looking at the royal family at its lowest public opinion ever. You know, he was being exposed. His brother as well, there was question marks over his brother. His uncle was a man called Mountbatten who has been named as attending satanic rituals. You know, I've heard of 2 people that have been victims of this guy, and many others, not in the satanic but on the sexual abuse side, said he would attend children's homes. You know, we was looking at so much was going down, and then bang, everyone took their eye off it, and they were just worried about dying from this nonsense virus. It's killed.
That's how they work. Their modus operandi is always the same.
You know, and it is. So what we're looking at then is we've got the badges. I'll be speaking to Alan about getting more and more, getting them done, getting them distributed, getting them out there. I'm going to be doing t-shirts and mugs as well with the same symbol on there, putting it out there. We're looking at organising another demonstration in the summer. Again, we've always told the police what we're doing, and actually they were quite good to me, because they said, John, we find you honourable. We find you honourable. There's a lot of people in our office still remember you from when you was in service. We want you to get your protest, but you know, we want you to.
At a certain point, they will flip over, John.
Yeah. What they did, they said.
To take care of. I understand all this, but there will be a moment that they flip over to the other side, and then the others are done. They're done. Yeah,
we're at a point now where we've got to pick a side. We have to pick a side. You know.
We have a side.
Yeah.
We picked a side, the truth.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. You did, but other people have now to pick a side, and don't say we have to pick a side. We did pick a side. That's why we are here talking and showing people. But now it's the others. Pick a side.
That's what I say, you know, and all of us.
And otherwise, just suffer being cowards.
But you know, this is why I have an affinity with the survivor community, because they endured the punishment, and they still stood up and said no more. I did the same. You did the same. We all suffered for standing up for good. Do I regret it? Not 1 second do I regret it. If I would make a list
of everything I lost, you would be crying.
Same here.
You would be crying. Okay? But I'm still here.
And
I'm doing the right thing. And everybody has to do it. And just pick our churches back. Get into them and have, like anti-alcoholics do, get together and heal each other. Help heal each other. Take the word book and start working together to heal yourself. It is very, very, very organized, and how you can start and what you have to do and how you can help each other. Just do it. Make groups of that in the churches by claiming these churches back. It's humans who build them.
And I say also, those that attack us, we attack them. We get together and we attack them. Those that give us...
It won't be necessary to attack them. We will be the majority.
And
they will go in hiding or changing. There's no other option.
No.
You hide or you join, but be honest.
And I've already had a few people contact me saying that they're engaging with you regarding your course. I think someone's saying that they're going to be coming to see you. They already started. I got a message today, and there's another girl. She's saying that when she gets herself together, she's going to apply, and I think this is it. With a benchmark of the way.
Fundraising on Facebook. I don't even know how to do this, but these people are skilled in all this. Do fundraising and follow these courses. If everybody gives £10, very soon these people can start their training. Not everybody is under light to do this kind of a job, and I understand, but they can do other jobs, like protecting others, following offenders, letting them know that they are watched. So there are so many things you can do to help, not only the healing of victims and stopping offenders, but so many other things. Protection, as you said, helping the podcasts. Do it instead of giving your money to NGOs. Straight to Soros.
There's someone was telling me about a charity in the UK that protects donkeys. The horse at donkey, and they said they've got so much money that the Charities Commission won't allow them. They've got millions upon millions in the bank, and they said
for donkeys,
for donkeys. But they said in the UK we don't use donkeys anymore, so they don't get abused. So what they were caught doing was importing lame donkeys from southern Spain and Morocco to bring to the UK to fill up their fields to get the money. And the same as cats. They've got so much money for cats, but you do anything for kids.
Animal abuse, everybody is really outraged. But if there is children abuse,
what I would say to people, you know, that have lost faith in humanity and want to put their money in animals, Satanists torture and kill animals. You know, that's part of it. They kill as many animals as they do children. So, you know, they're the friend of no one. But speak out.
First, put humanity back on track.
Yeah. And
because otherwise we will all be lost.
Let's speak out and expose them. You know, if you want to get in touch with Carine, you know, they can get in touch with you, Carine, can't they? Direct.
Yeah.
You know,
they can go to the website and or on Facebook. They will find me.
We'll get a link.
Please don't stop calling me. Don't start calling me because
you can't. I mean,
lacking a lot of sleep.
I'm getting the same situation now of people saying you're not getting back to us. I said I can't. I just physically can't.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm walking the dog, I'm replying to a message. If I'm doing it, it's constant. Bang, bang. I don't mind it, but it's coming to a point where we are now saturated. We are absolutely saturated. But I
4 hours a day or a day.
You know, but if
I'm lacking 1 month a day to have everything done, and I absolutely have to go on writing these courses, translating them, following up a lot of things. So please have some patience with us.
But we're now connected with Carine over in Belgium, and Carine's got contacts around. So we're getting global. We are a bit like the EU. We are really linking in together. So hang on, Nathan, you'll have to shut this down in a minute. So, all right.
And you sent me a copy of
the badge. Yeah, the badges.
On my Facebook, I put it everywhere so people can buy it. It gives you some money to help other people out.
But when I look on the message, is it Alan Merritt? If you're there, just give me a shout, Alan. If you're watching, just let me know. I'll speak to Alan anyway tomorrow. He's the one who does his badges. We've got another guy that helped. Yes, he's on there. Yes, so Alan said good. He is going to do that. So the badges are on way, and we'll
start selling them massively.
Yeah.
And people whose offenders or rapists already died, be it priest or whatever, go and stick one on the graves. You feel much better.
Yes. This is a good point. Known paedophiles and and rapists. Yeah. And just
them on their graves.
Yeah. Get them.
Expose them. Even after that, expose them. You will feel much better.
Yeah.
Because you were able to do something and put the blame where it belongs. It's not your fault. It can never be the fault of a child. It can never be the guilty of something adults decided to do to them.
Yeah.
Never. Okay. Yeah. So put the blame back where it belongs. Stick those crocodiles or pin it on their graves, and soon people will know. Oh my God, this was a pedophile.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And come back to something which you said very early on. We must say no more. We must say no more. This has to stop, and this has to stop in our lifetime. And I say to people, don't sit there and think that the police are going to put this right, because they're not. Don't think the army are going to put an end to the traffic, because they're not.
Or other people will.
Yeah.
No.
It's us. It's us. I'm impressed with the ex-military guys. I'm very impressed with them. I thank them. I've had people from the ambulance service. I've had people from the fire service. And if we look at what the fire service did in Belgium, they brought about change with Dutroux. We look at what the fire service are doing in Paris. They're joining the protesters with the yellow vest.
Also the police in Paris who throw their handcuffs on the ground.
Yeah. And again, they're suppressing a lot of this footage. It is changing, but I am disgusted.
I hope for the cowards that they watch this, because otherwise I think there will people be after you because you did nothing to stop it.
Yeah, nothing to stop it.
We're not there yet, but we will. It's not a threat.
But
it's something natural that will happen.
I am disgusted with the police service. They're horrific, inability of ex-policemen and policemen that knew what was going on to come and speak up. I'm absolutely appalled by
They
them.
are trained for that. They are picked out for that.
Yeah, I know a couple of good guys that have actually come forward for my civil case and have done statements, but literally a couple, and no one else. It's rare. I would say 1 in 1,000 messages comes from an ex-copper. I probably had about 3 messages from ex-police saying I'm with you.
The other are too afraid to do it. But
they are, yeah, they are.
Sure, they are following what you are doing and they are proud of you.
But
they lack the courage to do the same. But maybe that will come. A big part will come over at a certain point, and then it's over for the dog.
Yeah, that's it.
I am convinced of this. Yeah, and we are very, very close to this.
Well, look, this is. I'm just checking on things now. We've been running at a phenomenal amount of hits throughout, and very important. And what we'll do, we'll do an update.
If you want.
And I think if we continue to work as closely together as we have, I would say to my viewers out there, please, we need to get on board with Carine's course. We need to. And it may be that it's a prerequisite before we actually move forward and start with some of the dispensing of healing services and everything else, therapy services that people need to engage with Carine. At the very least, we are going to need what do you call it, like a mission statement? What is it you call it when they're writing down what they want to do, why their incentive, their motivation?
A motivation letter.
A motivation letter. That I think that Christine, who does my coordination, I think she is going to insist at the very least that is done.
Yeah, but I would like to ask the same for you, John. Policemen, firemen, veterans, please join John in the fight for our freedom and our lives, because otherwise we will all be lost.
Yeah, and our children will be. But Carine, I cannot thank you enough. I really can't. And we stay in touch always. We regularly talk. But if we can continue to do this on a regular basis, and anyone who's got any questions, please put them to me, and we see what we get. But thank you so much for your time and everything. And
you're welcome.
This is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Right, so I'm gonna get my Nathan to sort of log me off now, and okay, he's got to try and find out what it is. Right, so we just got.
Take care of yourself and stay close to yourself.
Yeah, we will. Okay. Anyway, God bless Carine, and I'll speak to you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.